Welcome to Bob Talk.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Bob. We're so glad you're here. This is a day that the Lord has made. We're rejoicing and we are glad in it. We're glad in it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Sister
yes.
Katrina is here, but not feeling as well as she would like to. So we're grateful that she's here, though.
Yes, I am. I'm here. I'm here. I feel like I'm at the end of whatever they're treating me for pneumonia. But I'm at the end of it. So I'm here with a smile on my face and ready to have this conversation. How are you guys? How are you guys doing?
I am doing well. Excited about my new eating habits and really this morning I call it a breakfast salad. And so it was like it started off an omelet, then I scrambled, then I tried to wrap it in lettuce. And so I was like, let me just chop it up. So it ended up being a salad, but it was really, really good. And last night I made a cauliflower steak.
Oh, that's
And
good.
it was really good. And I was like, okay,
That's
because
good.
me and kitchen and cooking don't go. But here lately, actually been excited about my eating habits. So it's given me, like, when you eat live food, you feel alive.
You
So
get injured, yeah.
it's giving me that energy that I need. So I'm
That's
I,
brain.
excited about
I can actually sense the energy. You do have a.
yes,
You seem pretty energetic. I need you to send me
yeah.
the link of all that stuff too.
Okay.
Yeah. Pastor Ollie,
Yeah.
how are you?
I'm doing good. I've got a new trainer, and so and that's been good. Linda and I both went today, so I'm excited about that. It's a new regimen and challenging me, so I'm good. So yeah, yeah.
Well, I haven't been back to the gym in a week, so I'm feeling the repercussions of that. I'm ready to get back in, but I'll wait. My body says not yet.
One day at a
Mhm.
time. One day at a time.
Mhm.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
so last week we were talking about mental rest, and today we're talking about emotional rest. And emotional rest speaks to basically the ability to express your feelings honestly and without stress, and to
Mm.
disengage from emotionally draining situations. So I have a sheet here that I want. I got it from my journal, and it was interesting because it asks you how you feeling, and so going from that, it's funny because I've asked I asked some folks to I sent it to some folks and say how you feeling, and they don't pick any of the words off of here. I was like, and then they talk about feel good. I said good is not one of the options.
Mhm.
And it's challenging because you really have to take some moments to think about how you are really feeling, which of these, and you have mixed emotions. And so it's like, as I went through it, and in fact, the first time I sat there, I sort of meditated on it for a while. I was like, okay, so how am I feeling? What am I feeling? And so as those of you who are watching, just put in the chat how you're feeling. Just identify which of these words sort of fit where you're feeling. And while you're doing that, I'm going to ask Pastor Mel and Katrina to identify how they're feeling on there.
Okay. For me, just before we came on, I was feeling a little anxious because I wasn't fully prepared to come on. But once everything started, now I am feeling, let me see, is excited on there?
I think it is. I think I saw
I
it.
think so. Let's see. Is excited on there? Yes, I see it as third.
Mhm.
One, two, three, four, five, six. Six on the
Okay.
first row.
Okay. So yes, right now I am feeling excited in my creative mode, and everything is kind of coming together. Our family is getting together and going on this health journey, and so just excited that the more we talk about it, additional family members are like, oh, I want to do that too. So for right now, I'm feeling excited.
I would have to say I'm feeling grateful and peaceful, and relieved. Um, because I guess earlier I was feeling a little bit anxious because I called my doctor's office and I was like, let me get in and just get something, see, because I couldn't find my inhalers. Like maybe it's bronchitis or whatever. And then they told me I couldn't come in if unless I tested negative for COVID. So then that made me anxious. But so relieved that that's not the case. I'm also relieved that at this point I am at the end of whatever this is, and I'm treated for it. So all of those, but still and yet grateful.
Good, good.
Good.
I'm feeling eager. And I still feel eager. I think that's the one I really, because I've been making some changes. Much like Mel, I've been making some changes in organizing my office and getting some clutter out. And so I'm eager to get on track. And so, but it takes time. And so I would have said anxious, but I'm not really anxious. I'm just eager, and learning to be, as Jonathan has identified, content with the pace that we're going. So I see Bishop Isaac is motivated, so that sounds good to me too. Yeah. So so this is, I think, the foundation for understanding um, how we deal with stress, and acknowledging what we're really feeling. And sometimes words escape us. And it's like, so how do I describe how I'm feeling? And some of these words are challenging to actually acknowledge, and knowing that in some situations I need to be honest with me.
Mm-hmm.
I need to really be honest about what I'm really feeling, and not try to gloss over it or make up for it or try to even people please, right? Trying to make them feel like I'm okay when I'm really not okay. I love what Pastor Dan Stefan always says, and he says, it's okay to not be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And
Go ahead.
and also for me, sometimes in the past I used to say, I understand why they did it, or I understand a certain situation. And it's like, I may understand, but it still bothers me. So I have to be able to be okay to say, yep, I get it. I understand. I understand why this person is doing this, but I'm still angry, I'm still frustrated, or I'm still hurt. And so for me, understanding why doesn't negate how I am truly feeling. And so I have to be able to feel those feelings and just go through the process of the feelings.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree with that. I think it's important to be able to acknowledge that, right? Especially when we're dealing with other people, right? Because I think understanding is it's definitely key to our healing process and the healing journey. But when we understand, we don't take offense as much, right? The understanding leads
Mhm.
to a lack of offense. So I can be understanding, and I can still yet and still be sad. Like for me, I think I've learned to be maybe sad, right? Instead of upset or hurt by what someone else has done. And so now the emotions that I feel more so when when someone when someone's actions don't necessarily align with what I'd like, I feel sad that they haven't received their healing, right? That they're not at a place of healing. So now I'm learning to feel sad for them, but it I still feel, and it transitions. So this is huge. We use One of the things that I give out, Pastor, that's similar to this is an emotion wheel, and
Okay.
it has like colors. It would be too those words would be too small to put on the screen. Everybody would have to put up their magnifying glass, and I don't even know if that would definitely help. But that might be you can probably Google it too. That's something if you guys are looking for your own words like this, a list with words. Look up the emotions wheel.
One of
Mhm.
the foundation that we're talking about rest, and we're talking about emotional rest. And so the question I think that's there is which of these emotions can, if led or stayed in too long, can wear on you physically, that it starts to affect you in a negative way. So having those feelings, but lingering on them too long can cause damage,
Mhm.
quite frankly. And so knowing that I need rest from it, and we say this sometimes, it's like they get on my nerves, or that there are individuals who you realize, having been in their company for a period of time, you feel drained, and you basically say, I need a break. And so being able to set the boundaries, being able to acknowledge that I need some distance from this situation or this person, because I need emotional recovery.
Ooh, that's important. That's a boundary, Pastor Aubrey.
Yes. Yeah. And knowing how to do that with how do I strategically do that in a way that, because you know how you can get in that I don't want to offend someone,
People
but
pleasing.
A- and that happened to me, and sometimes for me I had to. It was a person who they were giving me all of this, telling me stories and stories after stories about what was going on in people's lives, and I'm just not. It's like I don't like to hear a lot of that because it appears like I don't care, but I really do. And when I hear too much, it becomes too much. And so I had to just tell the person, like, look, I can't hear another story. Please just, right now, I just need silence because I'm getting too much information about people's lives. Because you'll tell the story and move on. Me, I'll sit and worry about the person. And it's like, nope, I don't want to hear it. Like right now, it's too much for me to hear. So right now, I just need quiet. And I have to be able to say that if their feelings hurt, it's hurt. It wasn't, but it's like if it is, it is. But for my own sake, I needed to just stop that person from talking because they were not sharing it out of, they were sharing it out of concern. But for me, it just felt like you were dumping all of your concern on me, and then you leave, and I'm stuck with it. And it's like
right,
I
right.
Ooh,
can't do
well, that's my job.
it.
And it's funny, one of the things that happened after the election, I stopped watching the news. I can't. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to. I'm not putting my head in the sands, but I just need some rest. This has been
Mhm.
a difficult season, a difficult time, and so I want to enjoy the holidays, and I don't want to hear about all of the stuff that's going on, and not all the drama. I don't. And so and it was so funny because it was sort of this thought that like people are not engaged. It's like right now we just need some rest.
Mhm.
And I shouldn't say we. I need some rest.
Mhm.
So I'm refocusing in that, because it's been. And I don't know if we always. One of the things that we're encouraged to do is to assess your feelings. And I don't know, in the midst of all of that I really was dealing with how I was feeling. Because it's draining. Some things are that that are constant, and you're trying to be, and I think it's for me, sometimes it's difficult when you have someone who is ill in your house,
Mhm.
and you're trying to be caregiver. And I remember I had a good friend of mine who was going through a really difficult time. In fact, she was in the hospital, and I had taken her there, and so and she was going through really different, and so I would go to the hospital every day, right? And one day I just said, I just can't do it. I just can't go today.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, that was the day she passed. But I was like, but I just couldn't do it. I was emotionally just drained. I just needed. And so I had to deal with the guilt after that of not going that day. But at the time, it was the best thing for me.
Right.
So, and I think that's where you really have to do a real assessment about where you are. What am I really feeling? What's really at the heart of it? So that I can be at my best.
Absolutely. Um, and it begins with the self-awareness, right? That's acknowledgement, because we can't do anything. We don't even recognize that we need rest if we're not aware of it, if we're not paying attention to those symptoms, right? And I think the first step is using that list, Pastor, putting words to it, right? Being able to, like, this is what it is. And in order to do that, sometimes you just have to spend some time in a moment and consider, like, look at that space. But one of the questions that you ask is like, what are some of those things that we might feel that I want to say, was it that can be damaging, right? If we linger in it too long. And most of those heavy feelings, like sadness, right? Sadness and depression, if lingered in too long, they can actually take a anger, right? They can take a toll on our physical health, on our gut health. It it's overwhelmed, like the overwhelming, right? Your body gets to a place to where it will shut down on you, right?
I'm
And this
reminded of the time when your book, you talked about the body keeps the score.
Yeah.
absolutely,
and
absolutely.
and the challenges, and we don't realize that we're holding emotions in certain part of our body. And I begin to recognize people who suffer from digestive issues. Many time are holding stuff, and
Mhm.
holding things, and not really realizing that you need a break from this.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you were to think about it right now, like when people are identifying those feelings, if you were to identify and you think about a moment of sadness, right? Just a sad memory. If you brought up a sad memory right now, and then you took some time to pay attention to where you were feeling that in your body, you'd be able to describe it. Now, some people may use the feeling of numb. I've heard some people say, I'm numb, right? And then so they are identifying that I don't feel nothing. But sometimes that not feeling nothing means your body has just gotten so used to that feeling that it has become normal and you don't even recognize it. And so one of the exercises that I always give, like, I'm like, listen, you feel numb? Let me test your numbness. Let me see how numb you really are. And I love, like, these watches. These watches have been like, oh, a saving grace to helping people see that they aren't really numb. Right? Because I'll have them turn on their heart monitor, you know, express that, like, rest, think of something happy, and then they get to see their heart rate at rest. Now think about that one thing that you were just talking about that irritated you, that you said you don't feel nothing about, and
Mhm.
look at your heart rate, and they begin to see their heart rate rise. And some people shrug their shoulder, like, oh, I guess, like, because you don't realize that your body is feeling something. Is feeling something. And the first place to begin is acknowledging, putting a word to it, putting even a location to it. I have people located. Where are you feeling that in your body? Because that's going to be the key to change.
Yeah.
To
I was reading a book once where it says sometimes we bury our feelings alive, and they're going to come out some kind of way if we just keep stuffing them and burying them, stuffing them. Okay, I'm okay. Like, no, you're not. I'm okay. And you could see everything is like, no. It's like, okay, well, I'm really not okay. I'm a little ticked off, but just leave me alone for a little bit and I'll settle down and I'll be okay. But it's like, I'm really not. And to be able to say that and not bury. I've been dealing with a family member who kept stuffing feelings, just kept stuffing feelings, and couldn't understand why we were not responding in the way they wanted us to respond. And it's like, because I don't know how you feel. I'm thinking everything is okay. But as soon as you share how you're feeling, then you can get the help that you need. And that's how you get that emotional rest. Because if I'm not getting the help that I need, or if I'm putting stuff off, that's emotionally bothering me. But
Right.
once I get that help and that I'm needing, then I can get that rest because I have the assistance that I'm needing instead of just, bearing it, saying, well, I'm just patient. No, you're not just patient. It really is bothering you because a few minutes later, you're yelling at me saying, no, it really wasn't patience. So to be able to be honest about how, and one of the things that, and I don't know if jealousy was a feeling, one of the
It
things
was.
that I was like really angry at a person, and I was like, and they shouldn't have done. And when I really thought about what my feelings were, it's like, oh, I was really just jealous. And that was a hard thing for me to say because
Yeah.
like, I ain't jealous of nobody. Like, yeah, I am. You know, at this particular time, when I thought I had more control of a person that I didn't have, and that person had more control. So now I'm jealous of that person because they, chose something else. And so it's like, no, I had to be okay with saying, okay, right here, I was jealous. And that's okay.
One of the ways that we can deal with emotional rest is first of all having what you just identified, which is healthy communication, being able to articulate it in a way, and knowing that this is how I feel. And sometimes I can be angry, but I don't have to say it in an angry way. I don't have to, as I shared on Sunday, it says you can tell the truth in love, speak the truth in love. So I'm going to lovingly tell you I'm angry. And that is my way of acknowledging it. And so I can tell you lovingly that I'm jealous, right? I'm jealous of you. And so, but that's me being honest, and that's healthy communication. And knowing that whatever I'm feeling, that I need to do it in a healthy way, so I can say no, I don't, and do it in a way that speaks love. And so we talked about it before, is that there are people who can tell you no, and you like, oh, thank you, thank you, because they said it so sweet, but
No,
exactly. And so that's important that we recognize and embrace that too.
and I was and preparing for this, one of the scripture they talked about was when Jesus went to pray just before he was going to the cross, and he took the disciples with him. And it was like he came back and they were asleep. And it was like, well, can't you like be with me for an hour? And in my head, I'm thinking, what did he want them to do? Because it's like what could they have done to where they could have helped him? I don't know. But I'm like, you was over there praying for a long time. You was over there praying for an hour, and I don't know how to help you. And so with some people, I have to do that because when they're just constantly talking, and I'm like, okay, at this moment, how can I help you with what you're going through?
Yeah.
so that so that they can get in touch with their feelings, and I can see if I can help them or if I have to refer them to somebody else. But I just thought it was interesting that the disciples are like, look, I'm tired and I don't know. But Jesus did say in in a loving way, like, you couldn't stay up with me for an hour. So
And that is, and one of the things that it identifies is not only do I want my feelings respected, but I want to respect others' feelings as well and respect their boundaries. And sometimes we and our feelings don't respect their boundaries, but really understanding the boundaries that they have, and then how I can be respectful of that.
Absolutely. I think it's being able to communicate, this is how I feel, right? One of the first things that I learned when doing groups was a way to teach people how to communicate in that group. In the group, because we worked with teenagers, and so everybody would be able to share their feelings. And you say, when I heard you say about this, I feel. So now we're teaching people, like, this is how I feel. It may you didn't make me feel this way. This was just my perception along the way. And oftentimes we want to put our feelings on everybody else. But the truth of the matter is, let's just acknowledge that this is how I feel. It doesn't mean that they intended me to feel that way. This is just how I feel. And it's ownership of your feelings. I think this is just so important. I love this list. Just so important to learn to take ownership of your feelings. Because the truth of the matter is that you always heard feelings are fickle, but but feelings are real. I like to teach my clients, feelings are real. What you feeling is
Right,
real. Now, where it came from, whether it was intended to be that way, they ain't got nothing to do with me or anybody else. But what you feeling
right,
is quite real.
because I used to say, oh, that she just made me mad. And I had a teacher once that said, well, she can't make you do anything. And I'm like, but you just don't know. She really just made me mad. And I had to because I was like, that teacher was not, that teacher didn't know what he was talking about, because she really did make me mad. So now I say, why did I choose to get angry at that? And then that
Absolutely.
helps me to be able to check my feelings. It's like, but she did. It's like, no, why did I choose anger? I could have chose forgiveness, I could have chose empathy, I could have chose any other feelings, but for whatever reason I chose anger.
Yeah. Melanie, I look at that word made. I listen to that all the time. I use Pinocchio. I like to ask people, are they Pinocchio? And people always associate Pinocchio with lying. I'm like, mm-mm. Pinocchio wanted to be a real boy, right? And before he became a real boy, people made him have emotions. People made him move on the stage. People made him. So I want to know, are you Pinocchio? Because if you are Pinocchio, that means somebody has your strings and they're controlling you.
hmm
Mm-hmm.
So you can choose to give your strings to somebody else, or you can take them back and become a real boy. Like Pinocchio
Mm-hmm.
wanted to be a real boy, right?
I
So
like that. I like that. That's good.
yeah.
One of the and this is another word, the codependency, being codependent, and over relying on others for validation. So I don't necessarily need you to validate my feelings. And that can be challenging, because I want you to validate that what the way I'm feeling is real, but I don't need you to validate that I'm sad. I don't need you to validate that I'm happy. That's I I I am owning, taking responsibility for my feelings, and and I think that's important, as it relates to getting rest, because you can spend all this effort trying to get someone to validate your feelings when they're yours.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think um everybody wants to be validated, right? Everybody wants to be validated. And so one of the things I've learned, it goes back to, I can validate the fact that your feelings are real. I don't have to agree with those feelings because that's not my perception.
Right.
Right. And if we can all grasp that, I think we don't necessarily seek out validation, right? Like my feelings are real and that other person may not feel what I'm feeling at the time. Different things impact different people in different ways. And it's gaining an understanding of that. But in that, we can begin to have emotional rest too, because that also says, I don't have to take on your emotions and carry that with me as well.
Yeah. Well, I think we're at our 30 minutes. That was good. I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm emotionally rested.
Or at least you have the words to put to it, and now you're at least emotionally there.
And I'm kindly saying, don't call me with no mess because I don't want to hear it. And I'm speaking this in love.
So what I hear you both saying is now that people can go back and watch this and understand that you have emotional boundaries that are being put in place.
Yes. Love it.
Yes. And we are giving you guys freedom to put in place your emotional boundaries without worrying about how somebody else feels. Because unless you are, what was Pinocchio's daddy's name? I don't know. It was an Italian name. But unless you were Pinocchio, something like that. Unless you were him and you make puppets and you go controlling everybody's strings, allow people to feel what they feel.
Yeah.
And don't take it look. You can be emotionally at rest when you don't take it personal.
Yeah.
Yes. Melanie, you want to close us in prayer today?
Heavenly Father, we come thanking you for today. We thank you for your lessons that you're teaching us to have emotional rest. And when we rely on you, oh God, and we ask that you just help the listeners to be able to have healthy emotional boundaries. In Jesus' name, I thank you and I praise you. Amen.
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 And next week is spiritual rest.
Spiritual rest. Hallelujah.
Ooh.
Jonathan said it's Geppetto. It's a Geppetto. I think that's how he pronounced it. So.
Because it reminds me.
He's got Italian in him, so that's probably why he knows it. Well, it's been great, y'all. Go get some rest, and we will see you next week here on
Five Talk. Bye,
and
everyone.
next week is spiritual rest if I didn't say it.
Yeah, I think
we heard you.
Oh, okay.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.